Hi, everybody. This is Matt from LAIIER. We're here again with our partner series. Today we have Semtech, and we're going to talk about LoRaWAN, and I am a huge fan of LoRa. We use LoRa to get information from our Severn water leak detector up to the cloud, and we think it's an incredible technology, and it is really, in my view, becoming the de facto standard for the smart building space. With me, I have some colleagues from Semtech, who are going to give us a bit of a deep dive into LoRaWAN and Semtech and this exciting field. So Olivier, why don't you kick us off?
Yes, thank you, Matt. Nice to meet you. So I'm Olivier Beaujard within Semtech. Within Semtech, I'm in charge of the LoRa ecosystem, which mainly means most of our activity related to LoRa Alliance, which I will explain in a minute. But also in my team, you have people focusing on LoRa developer program, all what we put in hands of developer globally to speed up, I would say, their development and time to market.
Great, that's awesome. So could you give me a bit of a background on Semtech for those who don't know what Semtech is?
Yes, Semtech historically is a semiconductor company, so American, US based, headquartered in Camarillo, since 1960. So that's more than 40 years ago. I was not born, by the way, at that time. And Semtech story into the IoT started with LoRa, with more than a decade ago. And the position of Semtech, mainly as a semiconductor company, is to sell chipset to enable, I would say, a global ecosystem and expand the market for many different markets. So that's the story of Semtech.
And so could you, for people who don't know what LoRa is, could you explain in a simple concept, what is LoRa and why is it unique amongst other communication standards?
So LoRa stands for long range. This is a radio technology, so also called physical layer or PHY layer. That was created by a French company. So before 2012, the company name was Cycleo. And people who created Cycleo, they come from military, I would say, radio. And they had an idea, kind of reusing what is done for radar technology to expand it. So LoRa was created because it's extremely long range. And from day one, it's low power. That's the two main attributes, long range, low power. That's how they started with Cycleo. And Semtech, back in 2012, has acquired Cycleo, and that was the beginning of the IoT story for Semtech with this acquisition.
Okay, it's super interesting. And just to give people a sense of long range, because I think this is what's so impressive, let's compare LoRa to Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, because I know that our customers who don't know about LoRa will often ask me, hey, Matt, why don't you use Bluetooth for your device? And I think maybe we should talk briefly about specifically what long range and low power means compared to those other methods.
Yes, absolutely. So I would say, in a common sense, you would use kind of Bluetooth technology near you. So you will use this for your smartphone to do payments, what is so-called, I would say, private network, but really in your neighbor. So a few meters away from you, this is a sweet spot of Bluetooth. Then you have Wi-Fi, which is serving your home, your offices, your enterprise. So the scale, definitely the range is more, I would say, tens of meters to cover your home. Sometimes you need a repeater, but mainly it's connected to a source of power in majority of the case, but it provides very high bandwidth capability. So is Wi-Fi, so tens plus meters. And then you have LoRa that can go up to, really depends of the network topology, but you can reach easily tens of kilometers. And we can even reach some satellite in some cases. So I would say 10, 20, 15. So 10, definitely 10 to 50 kilometers. But doing that, you can also address 1 meter if you want with LoRa.
Yeah.
You're not needed absolutely to address long range, but this has this capacity. So I hope that answers this question about ranges. Now, in terms of low power, LoRa was done from day one not to communicate a lot. So it's sending a very low amount of data, so below 50 kilobytes per second, usually. A very small amount of data. So that's why it's very suitable for a sensor technology. So you give, is it something that has moved? Is it on, off, 0 to 1? So this kind of sensor that a status is changing, a state is changing at the sensor, then you send that information over LoRa. And doing that, we achieve easily, let's say, in some water meter application, without very constraintful, because you have no source of power. It's either battery powered or solar battery powered, easily more than 10 to 15 years. Again, it depends how frequently you need the information back to your server. But that gives you an idea of the low power aspect of LoRa that has opened up a lot of new use cases inside the IoT, thanks to this low power combined with long range.
Okay, amazing. I mean, and it sounds from some of the statistics you sent before the call, obviously there are a lot of LoRa devices in the world that are benefiting from those, but benefiting from that long range and low power. Do you want to tell us some of the crazy numbers that we can see in the LoRa ecosystem?
Yes. So first, we are monitoring Semtech because we own the technology, but also we have licenses. It's not sustainable to have only one source, so you have multiple source option. But we are monitoring and reporting the total number cumulative of LoRa units being deployed at the end node, so at the sensor. And we have reached more than 300 million units. So since LoRa exists worldwide, so again, it's not annual shipment, this is cumulative number, but 300 million, so kind of 2012 to today in 12 years. So that's not bad in my view. But also what is absolutely unique in the LoRa, Semtech realized quickly after the acquisition of Cycleo that IoT is complex. You have to serve many different use cases globally. Not all of them. We serve the one where LoRa is a good fit, but with this complexity multiplied by the number of region, number of industry, we said we cannot do all of it alone. So let's create an alliance, so-called LoRa Alliance, that was created in 2015. Not alone with Semtech, there were 15 companies all along the value chain with one objective. They say, let's define a common standard, so-called protocol, which is chip to cloud protocol. To make it simple, it's called LoRaWAN, and that's the number one goal of LoRa Alliance. That was started 2015. Up to, I would say this year, we are above 400 members globally, from small company, mid-size, and big giant company. So Amazon, Cisco, Orange, and so on. So this shows a diversity, but that was, in my view, a very brilliant idea, not to go alone, create this alliance, which is a non-profit alliance. All what is done is open source, royalty-free, so members contribute to the growth of the ecosystem. And today, we can be proud of together with the alliance member sitting on, I would say, more than 400 members. We have close to 200 operators who offer public services. Some offer private also services for anyone with LoRaWAN. And with the last figure, I can say we have in the alliance more than 600 cumulative certified LoRaWAN devices. So all is public on the website.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, I think our attraction to LoRaWAN was partially the technical capability. So as you said, it's perfect for sensors. So as we started considering how do we enable wireless communication from our water leak detectors, LoRa seemed like a good technical answer, but actually it's the ecosystem that Semtech has helped create, which is what really cemented it for us. And I personally have found it to be an incredibly open and collaborative ecosystem. You know, people are very willing to make introductions for me and help us find success so that we can add to that 300 million units together, which and we really appreciate that kind of nurturing from Semtech. So the next question I have is that Semtech recently acquired Sierra Wireless, which is super exciting. So what does that mean to you, and what do you think that means to others, should mean to others in the IoT space?
So first, for me personally, before joining Semtech, I spent 18 years at Sierra Wireless.
Okay.
So I was happy to see some colleagues back, and I know perfectly this the technology Sierra Wireless has been putting onto the market and is continuing to serve this market successfully, which is cellular IoT. So the rationale for this acquisition was to say, okay, LoRa, with what you said, the performance that we bring with the ecosystem, we serve a portion of the market which is very sensitive to low power, long range, and a couple of other attributes, but that's not 100% of the market.
Yeah.
Some, I would say, higher bandwidth solution, lower latency solution, we cannot address with LoRa. And we even do not try. This is not made for that. So Semtech made the, I would say constatation that if we want to address more of the IoT market, we need to complement LoRa with other solutions. So that's how our CEO and the board of Semtech decided to go and look to acquire Sierra Wireless. That is bringing not a silicon solution. So Sierra Wireless is more a IoT system company. We do have now in-house very different solution from modules, wireless module, majority, so 2G, 3G, 4G, LP1 cellular IoT modules, equivalent part with some end device called routers or gateway, and also IoT services and IoT connectivity, cellular based. But when you combine the two and a kind of mapping of IoT, you realize you will cover much more use cases, and you will find out some, I would say, intersection where some of our customers use the two technologies separately today, and our objective will be to serve them better with some synergies, with combination of the two technologies in different manner that we are still working on. So that was the rationale, completing the targetable market, cellular plus LoRa.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So does that, do you think that opens new customers for Semtech, the acquisition of Sierra, or does it primarily reinforce existing customers?
So I would say the first low-hanging fruit, because of course, before the acquisition, the two companies did operate in silo, kind of competing also somehow in the low power space. You will see, as I said, the first hanging fruit with, I would say, we're selling more to existing customer, one side on the other one, because cellular customer will probably, I hope, discover what LoRa can do, and the opposite, LoRa one customer will say, oh, you could also do that, and so on. But then I would say, depending on where we go further in the roadmap, so maybe further year ahead, we probably can work on some more integrated solutions that could open up the space for new customer, new type of customer. And the entry door will be either the cellular or the LoRa space. That's what we are aiming for.
Yeah, I can certainly say that we have customers that are interested in a non-LoRa version of our product eventually, and we find it quite exciting. With the acquisition of Sierra Wireless, quite exciting because for us, being able to buy more from under one roof is very, very convenient. And so I think we fit that model of a LoRa customer that could become a cellular customer as well. So I'm noting the time and wanting to keep this short for everyone on LinkedIn. What can I ask you? What are the most important trends that you see in maybe IoT generally for the next year? Like what is on your radar?
So I would say, so first on LoRa, there is a big achievement we have done kind of 2 years ago with the LoRa Alliance, is that the LoRaWAN standard you mentioned is a de facto, but
Mhm.
it has been approved by the ITUT, which is a kind of United Nation of telecom.
Mhm.
It's truly global association in Geneva. They recognize LoRaWAN as a global standard. So that was a big milestone. And now we continue to submit to the ITU the new releases of LoRaWAN. So that has opened up doors because we strongly believe in standard, either being, as I said, LoRaWAN, ITU standard, or 3GPP for the cellular, because this is, in my view, one of the fastest way to grow and ensure interoperability. So that's one trend that we'll start working on and we'll continue to believe in and invest in. And secondly, we see more and more some regulation trying to impose the use of IoT solutions, mainly to, I would say, save some scarce resources. So we do a lot with LoRa in water. And you know perfectly water, what it means, because your sensors are done for that. So stop wasting water is number one. Or improving quality of water or avoiding polluting water. Those are big trends because fortunately or unfortunately we have the solution, and unfortunately water will become more and more a scarce resource on the planet. So we have all the solution already deployed, already in use to do that. That's a trend. And not only on water, we see that with energy, with the higher cost of energy. So gas is one, definitely everywhere, due to the current, I would say, macroeconomic situation, war situation we're facing. Gas price went to the roof. The more we can save on the usage or inform customers that when they use too much, it's very important. Whatever the technology, it's a trend that is creating very good RFP, requesting the two solutions. And you can also expand to electricity, where it's more a play today for cellular, but we are well positioned, I would say, in energy saving. So that's one trend. Energy saving overall is a trend. And also when people realize truly what the IoT solution can do for them, some are clever enough or smart enough to find better way to serve their customer, because that gives you access to information that you could not measure before about your product usage, about is your product needing fixing, needing whatever to better serve your customer. That's one of the hidden DNA of IoT, because people connect their assets for a reason. And when you do that properly with, I would say, the good technology, whatever it is, because now we have a complete portfolio, you really make the difference. Because if your customer are happy or can do better, guess what? You do better as a supplier.
Yeah.
So that's the two trends, I would say, to summarize in a few minutes.
Well, I appreciate that. And it's also, I suppose, good to hear personally and as a company, and good for the planet to hear that you're also seeing the trend in water. I feel like if we have a hot summer ahead of us, probably that trend will increase even more as it did last summer. So yeah, interesting that you see that also. That has been a fantastic overview on LoRa and Semtech and Sierra Wireless. So I really appreciate your time. Is there anything else that you'd like to add, or anywhere that you'd like people to go to find out more information?
So what I'd like to add, maybe I encourage, so anytime people looking for any information about LoRa, so go on Semtech website. Sorry, if it is technical solution, you have a Semtech developer portal. We have tons of information there, free MOOCs. You can learn everything on LoRa there. Now about the LoRa Alliance on everyone, this is collectively all the solution from the ecosystem partner. And I'm always happy to discover a new way of using the technology, new use cases. So go and visit LoRa Alliance website. That's always interesting. And also some important message I would like to pass to people. They're very happy to join the Alliance if they have interest. They have different flavor doing that, different membership, but also join and attend many of the events of the LoRa Alliance, because people learn a lot. You can see the technology in action. It's always better than slide deck or video. You can touch and see people who have used it and give their testimonial. And believe me, it's a no-brainer sometimes when people see that. And last but not least, I think we have started, that was yesterday actually, a first LoRa Alliance webinar in which Semtech participated with other company about what LoRaWAN means in smart home space. Because there are some usage, it's not because we have long range that we cannot work in shorter range. And many use cases already deploy LoRaWAN in plenty of different applications in people's home, and they don't know. They don't know it's LoRa, they don't know it's LoRaWAN. Is it US, is it global? Truly, it's US and Europe and Asia. That was shown yesterday in the webinar from LoRa Alliance. So LoRa is coming in smart home with, was there already, but people didn't know because we were maybe more focusing on utility and smart water and smart metering. But it's widespread. And cellular was there already, and there is no reason it will not continue. So,
well, I will make sure that we tag the LoRa Alliance, Semtech, especially the developer portal, and the webinar, because I also agree with you that the LoRa Alliance events are fantastic opportunities to see how healthy the ecosystem is and to really get to know people. So I very much appreciate your time, Olivier. Thank you so much. And if anybody has any thoughts or comments, drop them in the comments above us or below us, wherever it will end up on LinkedIn. So thank you very much for your time.
Okay. Thank you, Matt. Bye-bye.